So a few days ago, I was watching this American dude talking about how American states don't make sense. And I find this video to be very foolish. When he's an American and he's complaining about his own country, Europeans would never do that. Anyways, I find that as a European myself, it is because of us that the North American continent came to existence on a map. So I find that yes, me, am eligible to make a new map of America. So, to begin, we're going to look at the southern states. Now, most of these states used to be under Mexican rule, so I find, by my logic, that it's fair that we give some states back to them. I mean, they already had to pay for a wall, and now they're having drug wars since like the 90s, so I mean, like, we're just going to give a few states back to them. Now, since we're talking about giving states back to countries, first I thought about giving the East Coast back to the British since those were the original 13 colonies. But, the Americans already have it tough enough, and I don't want all East Coasters to get mad at me. So I'm just going to make them all into one big state, the original 13 colonies, and leave it at that. So they're just going to be bundled up. They're not going to get given to another country. So, simplifying. Yippee. Then, going more north on the map, we see that a lot of these states are very close to Canada. Now, Canada is already a very big country, and it would be horrible to give more states to Canada. I mean, what are they going to even do with them? I gave the states to Canada. Now, if you look at the west-south area of America, there's one thing that you can really find common, and it's desert. California, desert. Nevada, desert. It's all desert. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them all into one big state. All of the desert areas. One big state. I added a part of Texas to it as well. Now, this area in the south is also just full of swamp. So, like I'm going to do with California and Nevada and those desert areas, every swamp area, I'm also just going to put in one big state so that everybody can remember the states easily and that they're simplified. Then, at last, I had the states that nobody really cared about. Like Michigan, Iowa. Does anybody even live there? I think it's just like a deserted wasteland. So every boring state, also just bundle them up. For simplicity, of course. Then, going to a state that is actually far away from the mainland, well, not that far, but you know what I mean, is Alaska. Now, I decided to split Alaska into three parts. The north is going to be a Canadian state. The south is going to be a part of America, and those little islands on the coast are just going to become their own state. Again, for simplicity. Then we have Hawaii. I just added them to the rest of the islands from like the coast of Canada. I didn't know what to do with Hawaii. They're just some islands. Like, what am I supposed to do with? Now we have a finished product, a simplified America. But it's missing one more thing, and that's names. Now, names are very important to states. They define what they are. They have cultural meaning and historical backgrounds. So I'm going to try and stay as true to them as possible. Now, removing all the original state names, I just decided to go with Mexico because I didn't want to name that whole new area just a different country. So it's just going to stay Mexico. Now, remember that whole dry area that was just desert? Well, I found a very good name for it. Desertia, or Desertia. I don't know however you want to pronounce it. Now, Ia means land of, so it would basically mean land of desert. So, I mean, that sounds pretty good. Now, going over to the East Coast, I'm just going to name it British America. Not because it's going to be a British colony again, because it's the 13 colonies, and I think there's still, like, British descendants there. I mean, everybody's technically British descendants, but you know what I mean. So, we're just going to name it British America since it were the original 13 colonies. So, yeah, British America. Let's go. Now, looking at the area between Desertia and British America does own Florida now. So that area with like New Louisiana and stuff, that swamp area, I'm just gonna name it New Florida, since I feel bad for the Floridians that they lost their home state, so they're all just gonna have to go over there if they want to have a taste of Florida. New Florida. That northern area that I gave to the Canadians is just gonna have the very original name of South Canada. Now, those islands off the coast of Canada and Hawaii, I know they're not a country, but I'm just gonna name them the United Isles of America. Going over to Alaska, I split it in three parts. So the first part that I already named was the Isles of America. Now going to Alaska itself, that was split into two. The north is just going to be called West Canada, and the south is going to be given to Desertia, so that's just going to be called North Desertia. Even though it's not a desert, but whatever. Going over to that boring area, I couldn't find a good name for it, so I'm just going to name it Lake District, since people there like to fish. And it's next to lakes. Lake District. Now that we have done the state names, I think it's time for the most important part of making the United States good again.
Mouse in baked bean.
Now, since that the flag doesn't make sense anymore since it had 50 stars, but those stars definitely have to go, and just the flag in general doesn't look that good.
What?
So we're gonna make a new flag. So I played around with the design a little bit, but eventually I got to this. The 7 stars, of course, meaning the 7 states. The stripes don't really mean anything. They just were left over from, what game. And I changed the stars from white to yellow since, Europe. People are probably going to say this looks like the Malaysia flag, but just flip it sideways and it looks alright. Then, for the final finishing touch, I needed to give the US a new name. I wasn't gonna be like the other guy that just said United States too. No, it had to be a name that resonates with the population of the newly formed America. So I sat long and thought about what the name should be, and I eventually came to it. The European States of America. So there you go. I fixed America, made the states better and more simple to learn, and to be honest, just gave it a better design overall. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Now, of course, this isn't to, say that the other video was bad. It's all just for goofs. It's all just for laughs. Please go check out the other guy's video. He did an amazing job at it, and I really love his other content. But see you guys in the next video. Leave a comment and drop a like if you want to see more content like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.